Picture this. You show up in a new country, nobody speaks your language, and your accent instantly makes you stand out. Your family's stuck somewhere in the middle, not enough money to be invited to the fancy parties, not poor enough to fit in with everyone else. You spend your childhood on the outside, always looking in. Now fast forward. Imagine kings across Europe panic at just the mention of your name. Armies fall apart before you even arrive. Nations borrow your laws. And even 2 centuries after your death, cadets in military academies pull apart your strategies, trying to learn your secret. That was Napoleon Bonaparte. He started life on a forgotten island in the Mediterranean. He ended up as one of the most influential people on the planet. Some say he pulled Europe into the modern age. Others blame him for decades of war and misery. Either way, nobody can say he didn't matter. This is how that outsider climbed to the top, built an empire, and watched it all collapse. Chapter 1. The Outsider. Napoleon Bonaparte was born August 15, 1769, on Corsica, a patch of land most people only noticed on a cloudy day in the Mediterranean. Technically, he was French, barely. France had grabbed Corsica only months earlier, and the locals weren't thrilled about it. Napoleon grew up on stories about fighting for independence. His parents had lived through the battles, and he knew well enough which side lost. That sense of defeat stuck with him. When he was 9, his parents sent him to school in France. He didn't fit in at all. He spoke Italian and Corsican, not much French. Kids mocked his accent. They saw him as an oddball from the sticks. So he did what lots of outsiders do. He tried to beat everyone at their own game. Napoleon poured himself into books. History caught his imagination, but military campaigns, that was a real obsession. He idolized Alexander the Great, Caesar, Hannibal. He had no way of knowing then, but someday the world would put his name up there with theirs. Chapter 2. A revolution changes everything. By the time Napoleon earned his commission as a young artillery officer, he was smart, focused, and hungry for more. But French society wasn't built for new blood. The top jobs went to people with the right families or connections, not the right talent. Napoleon watched other men get promoted while he waited his turn. Then everything exploded. The French Revolution hit in 1789. Suddenly, the old rules stopped working. The monarchy shook. The aristocrats lost their grip. Chaos ripped through the country. Most people were terrified. Napoleon saw a rare chance. France was desperate for capable officers, and suddenly, doors that had always been locked swung wide open. It was his moment. Chapter 3. The Young General. That moment showed up in 1793. Royalists, backed by the British, took control of Toulon, a critical port. The government needed someone bold. Napoleon came up with a plan. Forget smashing into the city head-on. He spotted high ground overlooking the harbor. If they took it and planted artillery there, the enemy's fleet would have no choice but to run. He pulled it off. Toulon fell. France finally took notice of this young artilleryman. Promotions rolled in and Paris called. In 1795, thousands of royalist rebels marched on the government. Things were falling apart until Napoleon stepped in. He aimed artillery right down the streets and blasted the uprising away. It was harsh, maybe even brutal, but it worked. Almost overnight, he shot from up-and-comer to one of France's top military leaders. Then he took over the army of Italy. On paper, it looked hopeless. Soldiers were half-starved, uniforms were patched, morale was rock bottom, some units nearly mutinied. Napoleon walked in and told them flat out, "You're hungry, you're nearly naked. I'll lead you to the richest farmlands on earth." It sounded impossible, maybe even crazy, but it worked. Within months, this ragtag group rolled over Europe. French victories piled up. Seasoned generals found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Europe started to worry about this young Corsican with a strange accent. Chapter 4: Egypt and Bigger Dreams. Success made Napoleon famous. His fame made politicians nervous. Politicians love a winner, until they start to worry he wants their job. So when Napoleon suggested a campaign in Egypt, the government didn't just say yes, they insisted. The idea was to knock the British off their trade routes. The real benefit? Getting Napoleon out of Paris. The campaign kicked off strong. He seized Alexandria, then marched on Cairo. Near the pyramids, his smaller force crushed a huge Ottoman army. It was a bloodbath. But every high has its crash. While he won on land, his fleet got ambushed and sunk by the British under Admiral Nelson. Now Napoleon was stranded in Egypt. Then, in the middle of all this, something wild happened. French scholars discovered a stone packed with weird symbols, the Rosetta Stone. It turned out to be the key to ancient Egyptian writing. Napoleon's bid for glory accidentally ended up jump-starting archaeology. Not a bad side effect. Chapter 5: The Emperor of France. Napoleon managed to slip back to France in 1799. He found chaos. War-weary, leaderless, drained. He saw his opening, overthrew the government in a quick coup, and declared himself first consul. In practice, he ran the country now. People often focus on his battles, but these years, these are the ones that changed history. He reformed education, rewrote the tax code, founded the Bank of France, and created the Napoleonic Code. That legal system is still at the heart of laws in Europe and far beyond. But ruling wasn't enough. Napoleon wanted permanence. In 1804, he made it official: Emperor of France. He didn't just let the Pope crown him. He snatched the crown and put it on himself. The message was loud and clear. No one handed Napoleon power. He grabbed it. Europe freaked out. Chapter 6: Master of Europe. What followed is almost unbelievable. Coalition after coalition rose against him. Britain, Austria, Prussia, Russia, and more. Over and over they tried to stop him. Over and over they failed. His victories became the stuff of legend. Austerlitz, it was a masterpiece. He outfoxed bigger armies with tricks and timing. At Jena, he destroyed the Prussians. He redrew Europe with his victories. Countries vanished, new ones appeared. For a while, Napoleon either ruled or controlled almost everything between the Atlantic and Russia. But that much power does strange things. After enough wins, you start thinking you can't lose. That kind of thinking cost him dearly. Chapter 7: The Russian Disaster. In 1812, Napoleon made his biggest gamble. He invaded Russia with more than 500,000 soldiers. He wanted Russia back under his thumb. Instead, he walked into a nightmare. The Russians refused to give him a battle. They just kept retreating, burning villages and crops behind them. Napoleon's supply lines got longer, food vanished, disease took hold. Morale tanked and men deserted. He reached Moscow, but the city was mostly empty, and then it burned. Napoleon hung around, waiting for someone to make peace. Nobody showed up. Then winter crashed in. The retreat was pure hell. Soldiers froze, starved, or died of disease. Most didn't even see Russian soldiers. When it ended, hardly any of the original army survived. For the first time, Europe saw cracks in the legend. Chapter 8: Waterloo. Sensing weakness, Napoleon's enemies rushed in. The coalitions reformed. He fought, but lost ground. By 1814, he had to step down. They sent him to Elba, exile, small and humiliating. Anyone else would have faded into footnotes, but not Napoleon. Less than a year later, he escaped and marched back to France. Troops sent to arrest him joined him instead. Before long, he was in charge again. The whole continent groaned. Here we go again. This last act, the 100 Days, led to one last showdown at Waterloo. Facing British and Prussian armies, he fought hard, but lost. For good this time. They shipped him to St. Helena, a remote rock in the South Atlantic. No friendly coast, no escape, no comeback. Napoleon died in 1821, aged just 51. His empire broke apart and his armies were gone. But his influence stuck. Countries still use versions of his legal code. Generals still study the way he fought. He started as an outsider, became an emperor, and left a mark you just can't erase. Hero, tyrant, conqueror, all of the above, probably. One thing's for sure, after more than 200 years, people are still talking about him. That was Napoleon's real legacy, impossible to ignore.